Gagne's hierarchy of learning. The 8 forms. In the previous class, we talked about the categories of learning and the 9 instructional event, and this focuses on the hierarchy. So his hierarchical chart is very interesting. The basic or the most simplest form of learning according to Gagne is the signal learning. Higher levels of learning involve stimulus response, chaining, verbal association, discrimination, concept, rule and problem solving. We'll talk about those one by one. So the very first is signal learning. Signal learning is the most simplest form. You touch a hot plate, you remove your hand, and that is a signal that this is hot. You won't touch it the next time. Similarly, if you are cutting onion, you would have tears rolling down your eyes, and this is a signal learning. A dog would salivate as soon as the dog sees the food, and this is a signal, a simple unconditioned stimulus that is presented, and this imparts a learning. This is the most primitive form of learning which facilitates all learning forms not only in humans but even in lower order organisms. The next is the stimulus response. A Pavlov's experiment is the most simple experiment to understand. So we have a dog here. Now this dog is very much hungry. He sees the food and jumps towards it. So that is the first unconditioned stimuli, as we said, the signal learning. But what happens now? The dog is there. There comes a bell. This bell rings. The food is presented. Now dog is conditioned that the bell rings, the food comes, and he has the food, he enjoys the food. In the next case, what happens is the bell rings. There is no food, but still the dog would salivate because he has trained his mind with the fact that as soon as the bell rings, I would get food. And this is a stimulus response learning, a very basic sophisticated form of learning and the basis for other higher order forms of learning. The next is chaining. Chaining is a further interesting form of learning. Under chaining, it's an advanced form. So we have a cat here. Now this cat is chained with certain responses. What would happen when one bell rings? So with one bell, it raises one of its legs. Now 2 bells. The cat now rolls. Now 3 bells. So with 3 bells, the cat knows it's the time to sleep, and this is a chaining. It is a more advanced form of learning where signals are being chained one after the other, and with the previously trained responses there is a linked sequence which is created. What I have to do on 1 bell, 2 bell and 3 bells. Similarly, all the psychomotor skills, for example, riding a bicycle, playing a Casio, playing a piano, is based on the process of chaining. The next is verbal association. A child, as the child grows, he is playing with a ball. The ball is orange in color and round in shape. So as soon as the child has the ball in hand, the parent would introduce that this is round, we call it ball. Then the parent would introduce that this is orange, this is a color. So the child would say orange ball, and this orange ball is a verbal association, a chaining of the language skill. The previous chaining that we understood was the chaining of the psychomotor skills. This chaining is the chaining of the verbal or the language skills. So ball plus orange color would make it orange ball. The next is discrimination learning. Discrimination learning is the ability to understand different responses. Let's say I am driving a bike. When I am driving a bike, the brakes are in the leg. When I am driving a Activa, the brakes are in the hand. So what happens here is I am able to discriminate. As soon as I have a bike, I should know that the brakes are in the leg. I should have a finer movement for the leg. But as soon as I am back on the Activa, I need to know the brakes are in the hand and I should have the finer movements for the hand. And this is a discriminant learning, a learning that you have to definitely apply a brake when you are on the road and there is something in front of you, but where the brake is and what to apply, when to apply changes. And this is discriminant learning. Note, discriminant learning with interference could lead to forgetting. For example, I am on a regular basis driving an Activa. So I know the brakes are in the hand. I have a habit of putting the brakes in hand. But one fine day, I am given a bike and I'll try to search for brake in the hand, but this time the brakes are in the leg. So if there is an interference, this could lead to forgetting. So make sure discriminant learning should be well learned. Otherwise, with interference, there is forgetting that could occur. The next is concept learning. Concept learning is very, very simple. With a consistent response to a stimuli, we have a concept learning. Apple falls down. As soon as the apple falls down, you would say law of gravitation. Now I see mangoes falling down, you would say law of gravitation. I see ball coming down and you will say law of gravitation. So this is a concept learning. You have learnt a concept and you are now having the ability to generalize and classify that same principle of gravitation on different things and different objects. The next is rule learning. Rule learning is very, very simple cognitive order of learning where at the first I have a teacher or a person introducing to you what is circle. Then you are introduced how you draw this circle. Then the person draws and shows you the circle, asks you to draw a circle and then finally checks your copy. So there is a relationship that has been built in this sequence and this is the rule of learning. So I as a teacher, if I come to this class, I teach you the theory of Gagne, then I ask you few questions towards the end. In your examination, you have the same questions. You attempt the questions and you are able to assimilate what we had discussed in this class, and this is the rule of learning that we follow. So rule of learning is a higher level cognitive process, a process of understanding that helps you sail through the general procedures and the rule book that an individual sets for himself. The last and the topmost skill is problem solving. So if you are given a puzzle and you are asked to fix the puzzle, solve the puzzle, this is a problem solving. If you are given a Rubik's cube, you are asked to simplify the Rubik's cube, this is a problem solving stage, and this is where the ability to invent the complex rules and the complex set of algorithm, the step-by-step way to solve the problem is developed, and this is the highest order in the learning skill set. So just to summarize, the lowest order begins with signal learning, followed by stimulus response, followed by the chaining or a series of stimulus response in a psychomotor skill. Then we have the chaining in the language skill as verbal association. Finally, you are able to discriminate two independent thoughts, which is discriminant learning, based on which there is a concept that is developed. This concept would lead to certain rule learning, and finally the art of problem solving, the top in the hierarchy as given by Gagne's. So Gagne's hierarchy of learning is very, very interesting. Moreover, very, very important. We would be covering many more interesting lectures for you. Stay tuned. Have a wonderful day ahead.